Katelyn Burke, I'm so excited to have you. You are, how do I say it? You're the owner of one of the Perspire Sauna Studios. Is that the right way to say it?
Yeah, I am a franchise owner. So I own and operate a location in the South Bay in South Torrance, Redondo area.
Okay.
And then right now I have our Brentwood location that's under construction.
Okay. So 2 locations.
Yes.
Okay. I wasn't aware that you also owned the one in the South Bay. I just was thinking of Brentwood, which is in West Los Angeles, which is awesome. I love talking about all things sweaty and all things getting, as I was just telling you, like getting heated from the inside out. It just like really feels good. And then there are so many health benefits that we'll get into. Another reason why you're here today is we are, as I've said to unfortunately, too many other women who are part of that club where we lost our moms to cancer. Your mom had cervical cancer, right?
Yes.
So can we talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, of course.
And then how that inspired this sort of wellness journey. If I'm saying, I feel like that is the inspiration.
That is.
Okay. Yeah. Will you just tell us? I mean, I'm in the same boat. So yeah, tell us about that.
Yeah. So my mom passed about 9 years ago.
Okay.
And she was diagnosed with cervical cancer. I think she was like 57 at the time. So pretty young.
How did they find it?
It took them a while to find it.
Did she know something was going on, or was it just a regular gynecology visit?
No. So she had a lump, and I remember her showing me.
Really?
Like right before Thanksgiving. And I was
How old were you at the time?
Let's see, like 28 at the time. And I was like, you need to go immediately and get imaging done. Like, this is crazy. And I saw that and I was just like, so she went the next week, went to her, primary care physician. She was referred out, but kind of the origin of like trying to figure out what type of cancer she had, the doctors couldn't really figure it out.
Do you know why not?
It was like in her uterine lining and they didn't know if it was, something else. It was also in her lymphatic system. So it took them a while to actually diagnose. It took about 2 months from her initial appointment to really figure out and then how to treat it. So, most cases, like if you have, abnormal cells, that is treatable. You can get, surgery if you catch it in time, if it develops into that cervical cancer. With that, it was too late, essentially, for any sort of operation. So she had to do advanced chemo and then radiation. And it went quick. It was like 11 months.
That's horrible. And I'm really sorry. How long did she say she had the mass for? Did she know? Could she feel it? Was it like...
It was visible.
Visible. Oh, God.
Yeah.
So my guess is it was
a couple of months.
Yeah.
To be honest, it wasn't a long time, and she had just moved to like the Phoenix area. So I hadn't seen her in a while, and she's kind of one of those that are just like go go go, and you're bought a new house and you left San Diego.
Women. I mean, that's just women. That's what we do.
I know, and it's like, oh, you need to take a pause and really take a look at this. Take care of yourself. Listen to your body, and so. A lot of it, is like upsetting in the sense because this is a very treatable cancer and kind of ignoring those signs, but also the primary care, healthcare space doesn't recommend a regular pap smear. If it's been regular, then you don't need a regular checkup.
I just moved and went to a new gynecologist who came highly recommended to me. And people know that I have an increased risk for ovarian cancer, my friends who I talk to, and I'm really particular about my gynecologist for obvious reasons. And I went and saw her and I loved her. She was phenomenal and incredibly smart and listened and asked my history, like really took time. And at the end, I was like, ready to spread my legs. And she's like, oh, do you want a pap smear? And I said, yeah. And she said, well, when was your last pap smear? I said, a year ago. And she said, was it regular? I said, yeah. Have you ever she asked me if I ever had an irregular pap smear. I said, no. She said, well, then we could wait 3 years. And I was like, yeah, no, I'm here. Like, I'm in a robe. Like, we're going to have a pap smear. And because I guess it was a new doctor, and I really like to keep my doctors for a long time so they really know me. I mean, I haven't had anyone say that to me in 20 plus years. We'll just wait 3 years. And I was really alarmed. And so we talked about it. And she said, the new sort of standard regulation, and which most insurances will cover, is like every 3 years. And I mean, it really made me upset.
It's outrageous.
Yeah.
I know. You have to fight tooth and nail just to get a regular exam, like on an annual basis. And then you end up fighting, you end up having to like make some outlandish comment to your doctor. Like, oh, my partner has, not been faithful. So I want
God, I haven't even thought about that. That's probably true.
Really go down the line of like making excuses like, oh, I've had multiple partners, and whether or not that's true, they're not, that's none of their business.
There's nothing to do with it.
Yeah, it's none of their business why you want that. But even when I'm going through like my own fertility journey and meeting with my gynecologist, and she's like, oh, it's been regular. And like, yeah, and I have a regular partner.
And you're very high risk. I mean, not very high risk, but you're at increased risk, and your antennas are up about this. So what's the big deal?
Yeah. She's like, oh, well, we don't have to do a full pap smear.
What's a half pap smear?
Right. I know. She's like, I'll just take a look at your cervix. And I'm just like, that's not what I asked for, though.
Yeah.
It's like, it's not like I'm asking every 6 months or anything, but it's just.
Also, a pap smear is so not a big deal. It's not like you're asking for an echocardiogram or a MRI machine, like something crazy that they have to take you out of office and you have to have a special prescription. Like, this is a standard thing that's in every single gynecologic office that they just do and send out to a lab. It sort of blows my mind. And we could talk for a very, very long time about the state of healthcare and insurance companies and what they push for on their end. But to me, really the heart of it is lack of education and awareness, right? So we can talk all we want about the lack of education and awareness and how we're so passionate about talking about preventive care for women, to women. But this other side of it, of educating the healthcare community and primary care physicians and gynecologists all over, that is 50% of the game. That's a huge piece of the puzzle, because you live in LA now, or you live in LA, your mom was in Arizona, but in general, we're pretty lucky in these big cities that have, wonderful healthcare systems or access to really good doctors in general. But you get to other areas of the country, the world, we want to talk about that, in rural areas or, really unpopulated, women are driving really far to see a doctor, where the doctors themselves are they're doing what they've always done. And protocol has changed and research has changed. And that is equally as frustrating, at least for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, doctors are so bombarded themselves, just trying to keep up on paperwork. Mm-hmm. And, there's a revolving door of patients, and people are coming, driving hours,
mm-hmm.
Miles and miles away, to an appointment, and not having access to care is it's tough.
It's tough. And I think just the importance on both sides for women, and then even a primary care physician. So for a woman to say, this is going on, you're my first point of contact, but who should I see? Like, where should we take this from here? And then a primary care physician having the humility to say, this is outside my purview. We need to refer you to a specialist, even if that specialist is a gynecologist. We're not talking about a gynecologic oncologist at this point. We're talking about just a gynecologist. And there's a lot of women who don't see gynecologists. There's women who've never seen a gynecologist till they're ready to have children. I've met tons of them, highly educated, in the workforce, badass women who have never seen a gynecologist in their early 30s. And then you have women who I've talked to, many of them who were on top of the world, and they get past menopause and they never see their gynecologist again. In fact, we did this really kind of funny in-person webinar about gynecologic oncology. And it was a group of older women, mostly over the age of 70. And a lot of the women had no problem saying, it was a really like intimate group and people were really honest and open, that they had just started seeing a gynecologist again because they were sexually active again for the last time in their life, but they hadn't seen one in over 20, 30 years. And it was like mind-blowing. Like, you still see your dentist. Like, it's not like you get to a certain age, you stop having your teeth cleaned, or you still see your dermatologist, whatever it is. You just sort of forget about your whole, women's private parts. Like, it sort of blew my mind.
Yeah, it's often like overlooked as if, I'm past this stage. I don't need to go see this doctor. And, with my mom, she did have history of like abnormal cells. So
really?
Yes, in her 20s.
Oh.
And then it came back. So,
which you kind of put out of your mind too, right?
Yeah, of course. I mean, my mom was married to my stepdad 15 years, something along those lines. But, I advise, like, if you've ever had any history of having abnormal cells, that you fight tooth and nail to have your annual exam with your gynecologist.
Absolutely.
Because the cells could come back and, become cancerous.
And kill you. Literally.
Yeah.
So one of the things that you touched upon earlier with, that we were talking about with Perspire is, and you were talking about the importance of, knowing your body. And my line is always know your normal. Like, women have to know their normal, which changes throughout our lives. But if you have a good sense of what your normal is, and then when you're outside your normal, obviously feeling a tumor is one of those things. But there are other things that are more subtle that only you would know, to say something, to do something about it. And I think that's easy to say and sometimes harder to do. But one of the ways I think that is incredible to be able to help women to understand, like, what's my normal, where's my body at, and where should it be at, is doing things like these sort of, I guess, I don't even want to use alternative, but almost like alternative therapies and alternative wellness opportunities that not only like help keep us healthy and secrete our toxins and or eat properly, all these things, but really help us to understand our bodies. So am I reaching to say that that was one of the motivations behind getting involved in this world of sweating it out? I want
Yeah, absolutely. I think what started like my early 20s, I had, a ton of stress, and it manifested in my body in very different ways. And, I had to completely change my diet. So I had to heal my body. I was a big proponent of exercise and just kind of learning more about feeling good through, eating well and exercising. And it's those simple things. And then I was introduced to Perspire back when we had one location open in Orange County through an investor. And I fell in love with the concept. I fell in love with seeing how people truly left feeling better than when they arrived.
So explain the process.
Yeah, absolutely. So we do 40-minute private infrared sauna sessions. So it's a room within a room. You have your private suite. Your sauna is set up to your preferences. So every time you come in, if you like the red light on and you want to watch Netflix, like we have it all set up for you.
How do you find out what your preference is? Like, how do you figure that out? Or how do people in general do that?
Yeah. So typically, we're doing a comprehensive tour the first time you come in. We'll kind of just ask questions about why they're, coming in. Like, are you here for inflammation? Then we'll kind of tailor that around the specific light to have illuminated. If you find that like you're looking for a meditation, then we'll put YouTube on with a meditation. So kind of getting to know our clients that come, to the location and really tailoring that experience towards that. So something that's unique with Perspire is that our custom saunas do have medical grade red light therapy. So you're able to have, 2 therapies in one session, kind of multitasking your wellness routine.
Who doesn't like that?
Right? Yes. And then we've launched a new modality, which is like a contrast therapy shower. So we're calling it our snow shower. It is 45 degrees of cold hot shower for 45 seconds. So it's just quick.
Like at the end of your sauna?
At the end of your sauna. Exactly. So you are boosting like those, you have your heat shock proteins and your cold shock proteins, kind of helping boost your inflammation and recharging your cells. That is optional. You don't have to do the cold shower. Yeah. And you press it with a button. So you have this like beautiful rain head shower if you choose to have that modality. But
that's cool.
We have that available at the Brentwood studio.
Okay. And when you say people leave like feeling better than when they came, explain it.
Yes. So the story that like I always remember and have personally seen is this woman that would come into Perspire and she honestly could not even walk. Like she was getting poisoned by a gas leak.
Oh God.
And she physically like couldn't make it to the sauna. Her husband would go in with her. She'd go in at a very low temperature. And eventually she like healed her body. And eventually she started to actually come on her own. And, she figured out the issue like with her home and stuff. So she was able to heal and really revive her body.
And is it the science of just like perspiring it out? Like what do you attribute that to besides the mental component of just like letting your body go and feel it and to like really push through? But what's the science behind it?
Yeah. So the infrared light penetrates your dermis about 1.5 inches deep, and it's heating your core temperature. So up about 3 degrees, it's mimicking like a fever. So essentially it's pushing all your impurities like to the surface. A traditional sauna is like more like heating the room. This is heating your core. So you're really detoxing at the cellular level.
And when you do it, when you leave, do you feel invigorated? Do you feel like weak? How do you feel?
So I feel, depending on when I sauna, I have different, feelings. If I do it in the morning, I'm like energized. If I do it in the evening, I'm more relaxed. And you can kind of, come to Perspire based upon like when that works with your schedule.
Yeah.
We're pretty flexible in that sense. I personally like to do it in the evening because it helps me sleep.
Yeah.
I've never slept better.
What temperature does it get to?
170.
Yeah. One of my best friends, she's obsessed right now with infrared saunas. She lives on the East Coast. And I think like every night in the summer, she was going before bed and she's like, I've never slept better in my entire life. Like I barely want to shower afterwards, which is gross, but I just want to like roll in bed and pass out for 8 hours, which is amazing.
Yeah. So the sweat feels different.
Yeah.
It almost feels like a clean sweat. I don't know. It's very different from like when you go to like hot yoga, for example, and you're totally drenched or like a killer workout. But like from the sauna, it's very different. It's very cleansing.
How do you stay hydrated?
I drink lots of water.
Yeah.
And then, making sure that you bring in water, coconut water, electrolyte packets, just to make sure that you're balancing your system.
One of the things I've talked to women who are usually not in the middle of like chemo or radiation, but post, they love a good, a very high quality is not the right word, but this type of sauna experience with red light and with the light therapy, because detoxifying their body, that like clean sweat that's invigorating and sort of, I think, mentally pushing to the next phase where you can like feel and see this, come out of you. And it sounds so gross, but it's kind of amazing. And then also just like literally physically letting it go and feeling better because those toxins are coming out of you. And it's sort of one of those things that we don't, like doctors don't talk about so much. I know a few who push it on their patients, but I do wish it was more like in the program,
Absolutely. My goal eventually is to work with more of like, traditional medicine, to be honest, and incorporating that, whether it's like, post chemo, as a modality to detox from, or you have rheumatoid arthritis.
Or just surgery. Any surgeries. Yeah.
Exactly. Just really having your body recover from, is it a, medical condition or a surgery or autoimmune? It really just hits a wide gamut.
It does. And the source of so much disease from, non-life-threatening to life-threatening is caused by inflammation of something. And so on the preventive side, if you can understand your body and how to stay as low as you can on the inflammation scale, and when you're inflamed, like you just know it. I get migraines and I can 80% of the time I can tell you when I'm going to get one. There's not much I can do about it. I've done as much as I can. Let's put it that way. I'm like as in control as possible. Sometimes I don't sleep well and I know I'm going to wake up with a migraine. Like at 4 a.m, I'm wide awake. I'm in perimenopause. I'm about to be in menopause. This is just my hormones. And I'm okay with that. Like I can deal with it. But I know when I'm off. I know when I'm dehydrated, or I know when I've like eaten a lot of sugar. Like I just know, and I can feel my body like it's like a marshmallow. Like I can feel it, pulsing inside, and I don't feel like fat. I just feel like, and then that's how it presents itself with me. But I think adding this in is another beautiful way to help with that, right?
Yes, absolutely. So that is decreasing inflammation, whether it's, from the foods you eat, because it's very hard to eat really clean food these days.
Yeah.
I mean, there's chemicals and BHT and, BPA and all kinds of things in our food supply. So yes, inflammation definitely manifests itself in different ways. Whether it's like your cortisol levels are up, or your thyroid's overacting, or you just feel puffy.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I shouldn't have eaten that.
Yeah.
I went out to dinner and, with friends, and you're like, I feel awful the next day.
You feel awful. When you get to be my age, you just don't I'm pretty strict. I'm like, I just don't really do it. I was at a very close family friend, a very close friend of mine, and we've been friends for, almost 40 years. Her daughter's bat mitzvah last weekend in New York, and everyone's, drinking and eating, having a good time. And I don't really drink anymore. And my friends, I've been friends since we were 12 years old. They're like, you're so not fun, like why? I'm like, I can't do it. I can't wake up tomorrow and feel that way. I just can't. It's not worth it. It's just not a good thing. But I think about my brother actually, who's suffered from a lot of GI issues in his adult life and inflammation. And he's so strict with his diet. So strict in not an obnoxious way, but like really strict because he just knows. But I don't think he does this. And I think he should add this into his repertoire. I think it would make a big difference.
Yeah, absolutely. Because with the infrared heat, it's reducing inflammation and it's really letting your body heal itself.
Yeah.
Like I used to have really bad acid reflux to the point where I almost had a stomach ulcer.
Really?
And I healed it through just eating a very clean diet. I was vegetarian for 7 years.
Okay.
Now I eat pretty much everything, but it's just kind of taking those baby steps, with certain foods. Yeah. I eliminated alcohol and coffee for about a year just to really just heal the gut.
Yeah.
Your gut is truly the key to everything.
It's the core of your body in every way, shape, or form. 100%.
Yeah. So I would recommend that. Absolutely.
Yeah. That would be amazing. One of my kids has really bad acid reflux, but he's a teenager, so I can't get rid of anything from his diet. I try as much as I can, but when they're not home, he's not. He doesn't eat fast food and candy, but he definitely has a lot of sugar in his diet that is just terrible for him. But he's 14, so what am I going to do? And he will rebel even worse if I try and control it all. But I find this really fascinating, and I think that there's so many. We're really lucky in many ways because we're in a time where these options exist and they're available. Yes, this is a luxury, but it's not such a luxury where you can't, find it. You know what I mean? It's not a luxury only for the top 5%, 0.5% of people in this country who can have a fancy infrared sauna in their house. This is available. This is something that we can find and we can use. Everybody can be hydrated. One of my last guests recently is this holistic nutritionist. Her name's Alyssa Goodman. I love her. I just adore her. She's so smart and she's so interesting and she's so to the point. And she had cancer and really feels like she healed herself beautifully and with medicine, but used both modalities of Eastern, Western medicine. And her number one is being hydrated because we've lost so many nutrients from everything we eat. Like it's not the same as when it used to be. The fruits and vegetables and everything we eat lacks the nutrients that keep us hydrated, which at its core is the most important thing. So we can do these things. And if you can add some of these things into your routine, like infrared sauna, like meditation, geez, if you can do them both at the same time, that's pretty cool. And, just exercising in a way that makes you feel good, that's right for your body. I spoke with someone else recently who had an autoimmune disease, and she was really passionate about finding the right kind of movement that works for her body. So she was always a runner. Running was actually very inflammatory for her and her body. So then she became a walker, and she loves it. The benefits are the same for her, and she's not inflamed, and which helps tamper down her autoimmune disease, which she'll have the rest of her life, but now she knows how to deal with it. So if you can sort of think about it in that way of really talking about the preventive side and the preventive benefits of these kinds of modalities, and you're open-minded about it, it's life-changing, It's life-changing. Even just going to yoga. I mean, it's a different experience.
Absolutely. And with that, it's finding the right modality that works for your body.
Exactly.
And so, sometimes you're thinking, oh, I need to go and do this like crazy workout and put your body through that. It's actually not doing you any justice at all. Yeah. You're actually causing more stress, more inflammation, and then you're not letting your body recover. Yeah. So if you just constantly go to these hardcore workouts, it's like, it doesn't really agree. And depending on where you are, being a woman in your
life
hormones,
journey.
That could just be totally derailing how you feel. The great thing about Perspire is just it is accessible. Mm-hmm. It truly is. And, there's just a lot of different options for you, whether you have an HSA or FSA, we take that. If you're on ClassPass or on, we're accessible there. But also, if you want to invest $25, per session, per month, that really just goes a long way. It really works with anybody's lifestyle and budget.
Yeah, which is amazing. It's really wonderful. It's doing so much for the community. I was just talking about this the other day, and I talk about it a lot, just the immense value of having purpose and having purpose in your life. And so you can be a businesswoman, right? You can be a business owner and also be really purposeful in your journey and giving back to your community and giving back to those around and opening the access to people who, might really need this or who don't even know they need it in their life. And that's pretty awesome. I mean, it must feel pretty good.
It does feel good. It feels good to give back to the community. I always lean on, heavy on the donation side. Yeah. It's people, schools will ask me, every cause will ask me. And I just, I'm happy to give it out because I want more people to come in and I want, people to experience, what we do at Perspire and really just feel good at the end of the day. They've healed their bodies. They're feeling good. I have a couple older clients at my South Bay location, and they stopped me the other day. I was walking down the hallway, and they were like, "Katelyn, I just want to let you know, I took a break over the summer, and I really felt really bad. And I was like, my knees are gone. I was like, I need to get back into Perspire, so I restarted my membership.
They felt guilty. They had to tell you.
They felt guilty and had to tell me about it. I said, it's okay, but
we're always
sometimes
here.
People think that they're feeling better, and then they stop coming.
Yeah, of course.
And then they fall off the train, and we're here.
Yeah,
to get
and
back
it's
on.
lifestyle. I think and that's a pretty cool thing that they realize that it has to be part of their lifestyle always. You don't brush your teeth once a week. You do it every day, multiple times a day, because it's what you do. It's the routine. It's the lifestyle. And so if this is something that's in their, routine, whether it be daily, weekly, monthly, whatever, and it gives them, it makes them feel better, legitimately, then you have to keep doing it. That's part of the commitment you make to yourself, and your body and staying healthy. So, you can only control so much. And I always think there's things that happen that you have no idea. Who knows why in your 20s, your mom had abnormal cells when she had a pap smear. And there's only so much you can control. But what you can control, if you are willing to understand it and to really educate yourself about it and talk to experts and then take the time to figure out what works for you, I don't understand why you wouldn't do it. I just don't. I don't understand the bury your head in the sand mentality. I don't.
I don't understand either, but sometimes it takes some sort of life-changing event or big milestone to kind of make a change, or just even prioritizing it. I think there was a big shift after COVID.
Yeah.
Perspire was one of the few businesses that actually remained open or reopened quickly after the shutdowns.
Yeah.
And so being a personal service business, it's naturally socially distant. There's less than 10 people. Perspire thrived in that sense and gave that people an outlet to really take a second and really take accountability of, okay, I really need to take care of myself. Self-care is, a lot more prevalent these days. I
hope so.
Yeah. I even talk to, younger generations, and they're all about, coming to the sauna and feeling good and recovering from their workouts and stress and you name it.
Yeah. Maybe it's a good thing about TikTok. If they learn that on TikTok, great. I'll take it.
We'll take it.
I'll take that piece of it. Yeah. But I do think, you and I are not lucky. We had a really horrible, tragic loss when we were really young. You were 29 when your mom passed away. But, people say, oh, it's lemons into lemonade. It is for sure. But I think it's deeper than that if you allow it to be. And it's really taking control of your own life. It's not letting your mom's memory, die in vain. It's saying, I'm going to learn from this and from you and hold her with you and really do something that's powerful for yourself and for others while healing. I think there's something really amazing with that. And hopefully, I hope other people learn from that too, who haven't been, struck with tragedy. But good for you, because I think it's really easy not to. It's really easy to get angry, and it's really easy to just completely turn it off and go down a completely opposite route because you don't want to think or deal with it. I see that more often than not. So what you're doing is pretty awesome, and I'm really grateful.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you. Yeah, it's, everyone deals with grief in a very different way. And, being angry doesn't serve anyone. It doesn't serve yourself.
No.
There's a lot of moments that I miss my mom, and it's tough, but that's okay. You just kind of just recenter your purpose and get back to, why you got into this.
Yeah.
And, you're on this planet for such a short amount of time that, to me, making a positive impact in people's lives is huge.
It's a big deal. I'll say this. I've said this before, so, some people who have listened to other episodes are going to be annoyed with this, but it's really powerful. It's one of my older sister's best friends, who's now one of my good friends, Natasha Wagner. Her mom was Natalie Wood, and died when Natasha was really young, 10, I want to say, 11. And she describes losing your mom as having a rock in your pocket. It's always there. There's a stone in your pocket, and you walk around with it every day, and you can get used to the weight. But some days it's really heavy, and some days it just sort of becomes part of what you walk around with. But it gets easier in a way. It doesn't go away, but a little lighter when you honor her in whatever way. And that's different for everybody. And doing something that can be really impactful and meaningful, I think helps with that. So, I don't think we chose necessarily to go down paths because of that. But when you're on it, if you allow yourself to understand that and then to feel good about it, because you should, it helps lighten the stone. That makes sense.
Yes, that's a great way of putting it, to be honest, because sometimes you feel the rock.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's on the side.
Yeah.
And sometimes you know, you're totally fine.
Yeah.
And other days it just hits you.
Yeah, it does.
Life comes at you quick.
It does. So you go where life takes you and enjoy the ride and make the most out of it. So congrats. I hope we get to do really fun things together.
Yeah, absolutely.
That'd be great. Awesome. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.